Jeff.
Guys, we call the meeting order. Asked if Dr. Dixon will give the invocation tonight.
Sure. If you would bow your heads, please. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. Thank you for each family that's represented. And Lord, we thank you also for allowing us to have a great year, a great start to a new school year. Thank you for protecting all of our children, all of our staff, Lord. As we look forward to the days to come, we know that you'll be with us and protect us. And Lord, we ask now that you help us through these next two meetings, that you be with us, guide us, direct us, and make good decisions for the community of Cook. And Lord, we ask these things in your name. Amen.
Okay. And would y'all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey guys, if y'all would, I need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I make that motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the agenda.
And I
Thank you.
second the motion.
And thank you for that. All right, call for vote. All in favor that's present, 4. All right. Next up, we have going to have our presentations. We've got Paul Dobson, Athletic Director. Mr. Paul, if you can come forward.
How y'all doing tonight?
Good evening.
I just come to talk about there were some questions about the GoFan tickets. We switched over this year. It's a moneyless system. They're all online, gofan.co. And next year will be even a little different, but this year, because we didn't have everybody that had a season pass in the past, we didn't have everybody's email addresses, so we had to do the little yellow cards to get into the reserve section. Next year, the GoFan tickets will, on reserve section, they'll all be on your phone. So it'll have reserve ticket and you just show it to get in the gate and to get up to your seat. So this year we had to do the two because we didn't have everybody's email address from the past. But the reason we thought about doing this was there was so much money being handled after the game, getting it to the bank. When you're exchanging and making change, it makes long lines. I know right now we have some long lines because people don't, having issues with getting into GoFan and learning it. But I talked to a couple other counties that have been doing this for about 3 years, and they said the first year took a little longer, but after that, it's a lot faster. And you get in, move in, and you don't have to sit there and make change. But I don't know if there's any questions about the ticket situation.
I do know that last Friday night that you stepped up to the plate when you saw obviously folks struggling and you helped out.
Right.
I reckon the plan will be for the first home game with Valdosta that we'll have you and some other administrators helping out.
Right. But see, Valdosta's on it already. They've been on it, so they already are used to it, and they're used to buying theirs like that. So their side will be coming in. And ours have done it for the first game, the scrimmage game. So some of those already have theirs. And we just try to advise people to go ahead and, if you're coming, to buy them at home because the internet at the game, when that many people gather together, is slower. Allison Ray came out and helped us and kind of did the tech end of it because there was some issues there, but she got all that working good, and,
I got a question. It didn't affect me, but I saw it happen. My daughter-in-law had bought her daddy and mom online ticket. Well, she just did a screenshot of that and sent it to them. Well, they needed to do some other step, and I guess she's tech savvy and didn't know it, or you got to have the GoFan.com app on your
right,
phone?
what happens is, you can't screenshot, because
Okay.
you can screenshot some of that.
Oh, okay.
You know, you have to be able to click on it and, activate it. and use
So,
it. So, when you buy the ticket, it asks you if you want to transfer the ticket.
oh, okay.
So you just click transfer and put their their phone number or email address in there.
Okay.
And it sends it to
Okay.
them.
Let's
And then when
see.
they get it, they just gotta click on it.
Okay.
You good to
I
go.
think that was where a lot was happening downstairs, I mean, at the gates.
Right.
So let me see if I understand this right, Paul. You don't have to have the app. If somebody buys it for you and they send it to you or transfer it. all-
Right, it'll pull it up as
Okay.
a ticket. So you don't have to create an account.
The way I understood it is the link, when you transfer a ticket, it's a link. You click on the link and it's your ticket.
Okay.
And I
Just like
know
you
it's,
go to a Georgia game.
I know it's new, that's what I was fixing to say. Georgia Bulldogs have been on this system for probably 3 or 4 years. It was wasn't too bad at first, but now it's just old hat, because you can transfer tickets. You don't even have to see the person. You can transfer a ticket and they can get in just like you do, and it's all seamless. It's just a learning curve, but it's not the same app. It's Georgia's deal, but it's the
Right.
same principle on transferring tickets and having them all on your phone. And really, you just got to keep up with your phone. You got to worry about your ticket, because it's
That's
already
right.
on
And
there.
you can log in from anything, any other phone. If you lose yours, or, lose your phone, somebody else, you can log in theirs and pull your account up and do it. But the reason we went with this one is because, GHSA for the state playoffs uses GoFan. You have to buy your tickets on there, so, at some point, you're gonna have to do it anyway, and it's just, it seemed like a good idea. I talked to several other counties that did it, and they liked it, and it just takes that extra step, make a change at the gate and lines for that. But once we get used to it, it'll be a lot faster, I believe, is what they tell me.
Yeah, I like it. I think
Yeah.
eventually it's going to speed up the process. I think if we could, and Dr. Williams is in here, if we could put maybe a step-by-step ad in the newspaper, what I'm just don't want to happen, and I know you guys don't either, we're going to have a bunch of people here in that first opening game with Valdosta. They're familiar with it. We still got people don't even know we're doing it. So if we could do something in the newspaper, step by step, and then if they have any questions, to call us beforehand. And Allison, I reckon if, like Coach just said, if we've got a lot of folks trying to sign in down there at that football field, we're gonna have a problem or not?
They're built in with they have AT&T built into them.
So we can be okay then, as far as a lot of people trying to sign in and get tickets.
It's like your phone not being on wireless, so they have that capability. I think we know them right now.
I was just confused because you said it had created a backlog. It slowed down last
No,
game.
there were several people who wasn't on Wi-Fi or anything, and they couldn't, their cell phone service wouldn't,
I got you.
link in.
So that,
Because when a lot of people get in the same area, cell phone services.
so if those people can get, we know that, but we got people in our community that don't. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So they need to get on our Wi-Fi if they're going to buy tickets here.
And we've opened up a public access.
Okay. All right, well, if we can get all that in the newspaper and make sure everybody's aware, I think that would really help us
And when you
out.
walk up to the stadium, there's big signs that buy tickets here. All you have to do is take your phone, do the QR code, and it takes you right to it, and you just buy a ticket. So it's-
Can we put that QR code in the paper?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
One more-
Can
I
I
have-
add, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm fine. Go
I was just gonna add to that to say that it probably would be a good idea if we could just put a tutorial like for this thing on social media as well, because not everybody gets the newspaper.
Right.
And, if we could, and most people have social media or at least access to it, but if we could put it on our, our high school page or our Cook County Schools page or something like that, just do a tutorial, like a video, and that way people could look at it and we could just share it once it's out and it could get out. Social media spreads pretty quick.
Right.
And that probably would be as good a way as any, but I agree with the newspaper too, because some people, are not gonna sit there and scroll Facebook, but some are.
Yeah, I like that. The more avenues of pushing it out, the better.
Well, my question was, and someone sent me their receipt to show me they had bought 5 season passes. And I just took that receipt on my phone to Sonia. But that person should then tap on that to create 5 tickets on his
Yeah.
phone?
Your tickets will be there. It'll look like a ticket.
Okay.
And then
Well, see, I didn't ever
The
see
peop-
that. I
The
need to-
people at the gate, all they're doing is, you pull up your tickets, how many of you have, they can count them, and they'll say, use all 4 tickets. And you can, you don't
okay.
have to use them all, you can click 2 of them, and you might send 2 to somebody else.
Okay,
So you can, each week, you can do what you want to.
okay.
I appreciate
Trying
the,
to figure out so I can answer some questions.
Yes.
yeah, one of the questions I had was, I guess, on the feedback from Ms. Bostic. Have y'all talked to her, Katrina? What was her feedback on how it worked out?
Oh, she loves it, because it's all digital, and she's the one who had to count the money after the games, and that was,
Because I guess the lady who was at the front desk when I went to the game, the lady at the counter, not the counter, but when you come in, it all lapped up on top of her, she kind of had that, wow, because everybody was kind of mad and frustrated right
oh,
there.
yeah.
So that's where I guess the concern I have is the end user, kind of I get it, I like it too, what have you, but there again too, they don't, I just kind of, because some of the two, they came in the back door with the little gold passes that worked out fine for them. But I had a problem with some people that, up there in the reserve section, they said they wouldn't let me in with these tickets. And he was, he was really mad. And that's what I think, that there's a
Well,
gap.
Miss Sanja, she's the one that gives the reserve passes, so anybody who came up there to buy those, she told them, this is just to get you in reserve, you still have to buy your pass online.
Well, they bought it, but then when they come to the gate, they didn't have that. They didn't have it on their phone,
Oh, I
because
got
they
you.
had the wife's email, they didn't have somebody's email. So that's the problem. I think that's gonna be a hiccup. And I love my father-in-law, everybody, and my mother-in-law as well. They don't have phones. They don't have cell phones. But unfortunately, they don't come to the games. But I don't know how many of that's going, I guess accommodations for people that may not work. How has that worked out with other districts?
I know they have, usually somebody, if you're going to the game, you're going with somebody, or you can, and you can get, if you don't wanna do credit card, you can get somebody else cash, and they can buy the ticket for you. There's always a rail around it. But as far as,
Have we done that yet? You think we could let people, if they just show us the 2 little gold passes they've got, let them come in with that as opposed to making them pull up
no,
something?
we can't do the little gold passes, cause,
We're not gonna let them use that, just that. Say, hey, I got my reserve seat, let me in.
and like I said, after we push this out a little more, I think it's gonna, and plus the ones that's already been there, they understand, because I talked to several that didn't know. So I got my gold passes, and I said, you have to have, and then I pulled up some of them. And some of them, they go to spam, and that was some of the issues, they didn't see the email. But, I think before long, it'll be, the more we do it, it's gonna
Well,
get easier.
I think it's like most anything, consistency. If we just say you can't come in, you can't come in without it. But there's gonna be a
And
big
we'll
learning
help them,
curve.
we'll help them through it. And,
Because I had some people come in the back, anyway, it worked out for them, but coming the other way, it was a process. It was not good. Not good.
So, Paul, the season ticket holders or the reserve seat ticket holders, obviously, those tickets that you gave out will only get them into the reserve section.
that's right.
They still have a ticket that y'all sent to them.
Right.
That's part of the package that's on their phone, on that app.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, anybody who bought, the only person that doesn't have to have a GoFan ticket is GHSA passes. or teachers with their teacher badge.
Okay.
Next year, all the reserve is gonna be on your ticket, so that'll alleviate that problem there. So
Dr. Williams, I think it would be a good idea to have even folks beyond your admin team as troubleshooters. This game, there's gonna be a lot of people there, and we need to be prepared for it. So let's have 10 or 12 people there at least handling problems, and I think that will help us, for sure.
All right. Thank you, Paul, appreciate it. All right, next up, we've got Ms. Laurel Hurd, Professional Development Director.
I just wanted you folks to see we've got some folks being recognized in the state, and rightly so. They're doing a fantastic job, and I know this may not be a big deal to some, but it is to me. And they didn't have to ask her opinion, but they respected her enough to ask her. So I want you to watch this video real quick.
So DRC Beacon has helped us improve our instruction in the classroom by really identifying the needs of the whole group, what we need to work on as a grade level, as a district, identifying some goals, but also, and more importantly, many times it's the individual student.
What they really love about Beacon is the fact that it's computer adaptive, so it gives them great reports that help them know how to create their small groups for differentiation in their classroom. It provides them with resources to help them with instructional practices, to fill in gaps, or even to accelerate learners.
We have seen an improvement with teachers being able to see exactly where their students are and the skills that they know at the beginning of the year, and then be able to measure them throughout the year.
We have definitely used data to drive instruction, and that Beacon has helped with that. It's helped us make instructional groups that target various standards.
It is very tailored toward what our students will need to know for their end of the year assessments.
When we first started using Beacon, they were only using the testlets. And the following year, we decided to give the full test at the beginning of the year, which amazed our teachers. It let them know immediately which skills the students were coming into already knowing grade level content. And then it let them know which students were not only ready for that content, but that the fact that some were actually 2 grade levels below.
We can identify bubble students, so we can identify students who are almost at a certain level or students who are just above another level, and that really helps to group students to target instruction.
When teachers are teaching their grade level content, by looking at Beacon, they know what support student needs, and they also know what enrichment that the students need.
Beacon helps improve instruction in the classroom by allowing teachers to see where students are and which foundational skills may need reinforcement. Having that knowledge prior to a lesson helps us plan the differentiation more effectively.
One of the reports that they love are the instructional strategies, where you can download from Beacon, and it gives them all the grade levels, and they're able to click on there. It gives them scaffolding methods. It shows them, like just for example, the ELA, it shows graphic organizers. It gives you extended resources if a student is struggling in that particular standard.
While we have other products we've used that do that, what they like the most is that it's aligned directly to our Georgia state standards. And so it does a lot of the work for them and saves them a tremendous amount of time when they're planning instruction for their students in the classroom.
So for the last 2 years, our teachers have given the full Beacon test at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. And then throughout the school year, they've given the testlet to their students as they've completed a unit or that area of study on grade level. So that has allowed them to be able to see the growth. Once they've taught that skill, they can immediately look at those reports and see, my students have mastered what I just taught, or I have some remediation that I need to do.
We can quickly look and see if a standard has been attained, the understanding from the student. If not, then we remediate.
Breaking down of the domains is absolutely wonderful for our teachers in our school, and they can really tell, again, where to focus and what modules we need to maybe go back and hit a little bit.
We've used a lot of the Beacon report to help us direct resources to support schools, to help us look at our curriculum mapping and identify if we have weaknesses within our own district curriculum maps that we needed to shore up.
Beacon gives really dialed in perspective about how students have grown in relation to the curriculum, in relation to domains, and then on the individual level, even down to standards.
Really was a very powerful tool for teachers to kind of give them a little pat on the back to say, hey, we really are doing a good job. We do see growth with our students.
We can also look at the predictor for GMAS, which is very helpful.
Teachers are able to know exactly what students' strengths and weaknesses are by looking at the reports and knowing what domain students have strengths and weaknesses in.
We were able to remediate those students right before Georgia milestones, and several of them went up. And then once they took the milestones, it was a great predictor of how they were going to do. They either did pretty much the same. Some of them even performed better. But it was a great indicator for us and the standards that we needed to teach in order to prepare our students.
So it was an honor to be asked to participate in that. I think if you counted the school systems, I think there were 8 or 9, maybe 10 that took part in producing that video for the state. So kudos to Laura and our professional development group. Very nicely done. You want to speak real briefly on, we're taking it to the next level this year. Give them just a quick overview of what we're doing with this Beacon.
So with Beacon, this past year in January, we were able to add in a Lexile measure. So we're actually able to find out their Lexiles before Georgia milestones. And then beginning in October, we will start using Beacon for kindergarten, first and second grade as a trial for the state. And then starting in January, we'll do a trial with Algebra 1. So the state has reached out and they've asked for people to help them out, and so far, everything we've seen has been wonderful. So we want to help make the product as best as it can be.
We did an analysis also on the Beacon test scores. You heard them speak of this in the video. But we did an analysis of how the children actually did on the test from what we had predicted. And we've got a really good instrument. It's really good. And so as we administer this Beacon 3 times a year, we're able to determine where a child's at when it comes time at the end of the year for milestones, or in the case for the high school, twice a year in December and then, of course, in May as well. But thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Dr. Courtney Holly, be speaking on personnel and school supplement. Good evening.
Good evening. How are y'all?
All right.
All right, real quick, we'll go over personnel. Primary school, we have 3 we would like to recommend, one being speech pathologist, pre-K para, and an early learning center para, all replacements. Middle school, replacement, PE teacher, and middle school football coach. At the high school, a replacement ESOL teacher. And then Miss Lisa Hurd coming back 49% as graduation coach. Transfers, we have 3. We would like to recommend Coach Williams be transferred from the CMS weight room to the CMS ISS. Kyle Langford from the PE teacher at CMS to the weight room teacher. And then Miss Rachel Joyner from ELC para to CES para. Then we have 4 athletic recommendations. Coach Abernathy for CMS football coach and track assistant boys and girls coach. Corey Fuller, basketball community coach for boys. Coach Langford for CHS varsity boys and girls tennis. And then Miss Candace Roundtree, CHS assistant girls basketball varsity coach. Any questions about those recommendations?
I got a general question, I guess, middle school, how many PE coaches, I guess, do we have?
3. We have 3 PE coaches and 1 weight room coach. We have Coach Brown, Coach Barnes, Coach Stacks are in the PE in the gym, and then Coach Langford's in the weight room.
Okay.
Okay.
So is Coach Barnes, is he assistant coach or head coach or what?
He's going to take one of those, it was like 7th or 6th grade football coaches at the middle school. We had 2 openings. He's going to take one of those, and at this time, we don't have anybody else to fill that other one.
Okay.
All right, for substitutes, we have Miss Harrison wanting to sub, and she's certified, and then Brandy Howes and Michaela Morris. We've had some openings in our custodial department, so we wanted to recommend these 5 to you all tonight to replace at the middle school, primary school, and elementary school. We've had several retirements or out due to illnesses and couldn't come back. And then transportation, 2 bus drivers and a monitor. And then for our resignations, we have Miss Patricia Young. She was a special education paraprofessional at the high school. Miss Tanya Rogers, we had just approved her as ESOL teacher last board meeting. Mr. William Davis, bus driver. Carrie Ann Bates, who's a pre-K para. And then Miss Lauren Dean, who was a speech pathologist at the middle school. She's still on our team, but she's going to be contracted through the special education department. She did not want to be a full-time employee with us, so she worked it out with Ms. McKilworth where she could be contracted. So, any questions about personnel at this time? Okay, moving on to school supplements. I'm not going to go through unless you have questions. None of the money has changed. So at the primary school, the only thing that's changed, nothing has been added. It's just the names have changed due to people switching grade levels or no longer being there. And then same with the elementary school, no money has changed or been added. It's just names due to people changing their roles. And actually, yes, at the middle school, only thing that's changed is we're actually saving a speech pathologist supplement because she's not an employee of ours. So our speech pathologist, I believe it's $225 they get as a supplement. Everything else is the same besides the names, but we were able to take that supplement off. And then at the high school, since we have the special education coordinators, Dr. Williams is using her as the lead for special ed, so we were able to save a $300 supplement there. But no monies have been added to any of the school supplements, just names have been changed, except for the high school and middle school, we're able to save those 2 supplements. Any questions about school supplements?
I kind of want to go back, I'm sorry. The provisional issues, with our way we're set up, how long can somebody have a provisional, I guess, explain that to me. Somebody said doesn't have a degree in a field, or what's the understanding on 3-year provisional, or what's that?
Okay, so if you have a degree in education, but you're teaching out of field, so for instance, you have a degree in early education, but we put you at the high school to teach math, we can give you a 3-year, we don't, but the PSC, the Professional Standards Commission, gives you a 3-year provisional because you have an education degree. Now, somebody that comes into us that has a 4-year degree or higher, but it's not in education, for instance, say it's general studies or interdisciplinary studies or criminal justice, the Georgia Professional Standards Commission issues them a 1-year waiver, and within that 1 year, they either have to enroll in the Georgia TAP program, which doesn't give them a higher degree, it's still a bachelor's, but then they're certified in education, or they can go and get a master's of art in teaching, which would, of course, give them a master's in education, which would up their pay. So if you have a degree in education, but you're teaching out of the field, you get a 3-year provisional. If you have a 4-year degree or higher, but you don't, it's not in education, you can get a 1-year waiver.
Can you teach without a degree?
No, sir. Well, CTAE is the only department that you could teach with a 2-year degree. But we don't have anybody in that situation, do we? No. Okay, anything else? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we've got Miss Jackie Sparks, financial update. Welcome this evening.
What you have in front of you is a handout. The first sheet is just a summary as of June right now. We still have not closed June because we're doing our year-end closeouts. That will actually happen in September, so you will get a final one of these once we actually have hit the button. I just was trying to give you an update of where we stand. I'm not gonna go over those numbers. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask me. The federal funds is the only thing I want to bring to your attention. It is in the negative, but it always is. We set up receivables at the end of the year, and that should be zeroed out by the time we close. And the second sheet is our SPLOST comparison. I'm not wearing green. But we have our July 2024 payment. It's $275,000. If you look at it compared to last year, we're down $80,000 for July. And if you look at 2022, we're kind of in line with that. So if anybody knows how to mine for Bitcoin and has a friend, I think that's what was going on during 2023. Anybody have any questions about the SPLOST?
No, and it was shared with me this past week that that's probably not gonna come back. That was not an official word, but that was what I heard, so. We're okay. I mean, obviously, you hate losing it, but I think you and I had looked at in order to meet our debt, we needed, what was it, a month?
It was right at 200,000. We're doing very well for our debt service, so I'm not concerned with us meeting our debt service payments whatsoever. It just doesn't give us as much free money after the SPLOST projects are over to do things if we needed buses, textbooks, improvements to buildings, things like that. The last thing I want to just make you aware of, this come down from the state, so it's not an option that we have, but I do want you to make aware that it's going to get paid out in September. Me and Dr. Dixon have talked. But in June, the State Board of Education approved a one-time $1,000 custodian supplement with ESSER funds that they had at the state level. The supplement's in recognition of the increased services and supports required to maintain clean and safe environments for students and staff. So when we submitted our, what they call a CPI report, it says what everybody does in October, anybody who was coded to custodian and not a custodian supervisor, I think we have one of those, but everybody else that's coded under job code 457 will receive this supplement. They're sending us the money plus the FICA. So that'll be paid out in September in a separate check. So during our audit process, I wanted Ms. Tammy to make sure that we got that in the minutes, that we have discussed that with you guys and that you are aware. And this is not a choice we're making, this is a choice the state made, and we are required to pay it out by September 30th.
One-time payment?
One-time payment. Anybody got any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have the superintendent's report.
Couple things, fundraisers, you've had a chance to look over those, they're all in line. We're sort of pressed for time, unless you have specific questions, we'll pull them up individually. Next item, local board member training plan. Tammy has, I think, had a conversation with each of you, everything's in line there, we've got those dates, I think we're good there. And then the last item I have is, no, the field trips, out-of-state and overnight field trips, and you can see it's time of year where there's many of those. You've had an opportunity to look over those. Unless there's any questions, we'll put those on the regular board meeting for your approval. The next item I have is enrollment summary. Just want to give you an update of where we are. We've been doing the butts in the seat count or warm body count since the first day of school. And so far, the number that we've had that have actually entered our door is 2,942 students, 2,942 students.
What's been the trend? You like a 3-year trend or so?
We're actually, last year we were up about 75 students more, but we're a little bit higher than we were 2 years ago. So we're a little, I reckon 2 out of 3 years we've been the same. Last year we were up a little bit. And we only do this for the first 10 days. So as long as we can maintain for rural districts, they tell us to be excited. So we're not losing children per se. Now, if we start seeing, the next 3 or 4 years, then we might want to be concerned. But I'm not concerned. And this is different than FTE, which is a little different formula. But we're in good shape as far as students are concerned. I know from a competitive viewpoint, we like where we are, and what I mean by that is we're a big AA school for our extracurriculars. We don't want to be a small AAA. So the problem is you can't predict that because that magical number changes every year. Anyway, we're in good shape. I think that's all I have.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
All right, next on the agenda is executive session. I need a motion for us to go into executive session, please.
I'll make a motion we go into executive session.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Thank you. Call for vote. Unanimous. All right, y'all excuse us? Unanimous. All right, we're back in regular session. Where are we at on the agenda?
All right, Mr. Chair, we can,
Got adjourned.
we've
doesn't it?
closed out that meeting. We can start over with our regular scheduled meeting.
Okay. All right, the 5 o'clock meeting's adjourned. We're going to begin the 6 o'clock meeting, call to order. And we got Pastor George Horn going to give the invocation today. Is he present? Okay, if you would come forward, sir. You introduce yourself and your church, and we appreciate it. Yes, sir.
I'm Pastor George Horn, Holy Community Church, Adel, Georgia. If you would bow your heads, please. Father God, in the mighty name of Jesus, God, we give you praise and we thank you for your grace and mercy that have allowed us to see another day. God, we ask you right now, God, to be with us tonight, God. We ask you to touch the hearts and minds, God. We ask you to take control, God. We ask you, God, to help them to allow you to speak and to rule and do what needs to be done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Would
Thank
y'all
you.
please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Dr. Tim Dixon.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need to get approval of agenda. Can I get a motion for that?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Brenda. Need a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Sharon. Call for vote. And unanimous. This time, do we have any public comment, Dr. Dixon?
Mr. Chair, we do. We have, first up, we have Dr. Treva Gear. She's speaking on behalf of the concerned citizens of Cook County.
All right. Ms. Gear, if you would, I do have a statement I need to read as you come. Thank you for coming to speak to the Board of Education. We welcome your comments and ask you to abide by the following guidelines. Please remain at the microphone while speaking. Your comments shall be directed to the board as a body through myself, the chairman. Remarks shall not be addressed to individual board members. Please conclude your remarks promptly at the end of 5 minutes without yielding your allotted time to any other individual. Please remain focused on issues and solutions, keeping your remarks courteous and respectful with no inappropriate, physically threatening, or abusive language. Loud and/or boisterous conduct or comments by speakers or audience members will not be allowed. Please avoid personal complaints or criticism of individual school system employees or students, as well as any matter involving threatening or pending litigation. No grievances will be heard concerning any specific personnel action or employee except through the grievance procedure set forth in the board's personnel policy. The board will not respond to comments made by the speaker during public participation unless a member of the board chooses to ask a question. All right. Ms. Gear.
All right, I'm Dr. Treva Gear. I'm born and raised here, a native of Cook County, went through this whole school system, K through 12. Thank y'all for hearing my comments this evening. However, I'm coming before you concerning the issue with the school rule at Cook Middle School. Of course, thank goodness it's been resolved, gladly. However, I have some concerns on behalf of the concerned citizens of Cook County that this rule should have never been a rule in the first place, in the process that led to it, and could it happen again? Now, my concern is that with the vetting, we know there's a leadership team in each school generally that looks at these processes. And even though it seemed like a utopic idea to not have kids talk during lunch, it's not very realistic. I don't know what kind of staff you have, but they weren't going to be able to stop every kid from talking. And then with the rule being, oh, you're going to go to ISS if you're caught talking. So what we ended up having was a whole media circus, us being highlighted not for good, but for bad, and questionability about the teachers, what was the rule that was going on in that school, and that it was very unrealistic and very prison-like. So I'll call you to look at the school improvement plan. So if we're following the school improvement plan, I see it was rolled back because of communication reasons. It wasn't adequately communicated to teachers, to the parents in time. Well, Initiative 1 says increasing positive, consistent, and meaningful communication with all stakeholders. That's your 2022-23 school improvement plan. Well, there was a problem with that already, so that's something to be mindful of, and I think the school system needs to be mindful of. Initiative 2, talking about student behavior. Utilize a variety of resources to improve student behavior. Well, was this the only thing to stop students from talking at lunch? You know, I understand it's middle school. As a 17-year educator, I know that kids have issues, and especially in the adolescent ages of middle school. It's kind of wild. They're still trying to figure themselves out. But to hard stop with something as extreme as no talking concerns me. Because in Initiative 3, you state that utilizing behavior analysis teams to implement behavior incentives to increase student behavior, trying to limit 2 days of ISS or more, and also looking at restorative practices. Restorative practices using professional learning to build student communities. All those restorative practices doesn't mean, boom, you talked in the cafeteria, you're going to ISS. That's not restorative. So what the school improvement plan says versus how that rule was implemented, and that rule, that the fact that it was a rule at all, is totally misaligned with what the improvement plan stated. Okay, second thing, it was very alarming that this rule was implemented because the school is over 51% African American, or students of color. That's interesting. It's a Title I school, high poverty. Make it look like a prison. And it also has a low percentage of African American staff members at that school that are actually educators. That's something that's concerning to me. It didn't look good. The optics didn't look good at all. And I think with the restorative practices, which would be more in line with something to do in this school, we need to look at some mitigation efforts. So what are some possible solutions that could have been used? These kids just got to school. We know that administrators, as it states in the school handbook, they have the right to designate or place any rule in place in order to control the situation if something bad has happened. Has something bad happened? That was rather punitive. So where can you go from that after you've stopped them from talking if they talked even more? So that's my concern, how that was put in place. I remember in middle school, I think in 5th grade, we used to have a traffic light. And in that traffic light, it would tell us how loud it got, red, green. And then we know, oh, golly, we need to be quiet. And everybody monitored that traffic light. It let us know about the decibels. It worked. Why wasn't something like that used prior to just extremely cutting out talking? Because then kids can self-monitor themselves, and it's easier on the staff. Next, is there a positive behavior intervention system? Do they have PBIS at the school? I looked on the website. I don't see any sign that there is a PBIS program. It's Title I. Obviously, there's some behavior issues. This would be an ideal time or a school to have a PBIS program in place and actually having restorative practices. But based on that, my comments lie with it's problematic, the process, and it needs to be addressed and talked about, that this doesn't happen again, and what other rule is looming to occur. We need to be mindful of the school and its demographics and how that looks and what needs to actually happen and what's going to actually work, because we know that kids were going to be, the behavior analysis team was going to be swamped because kids were going to have more than 2 days of ISS, and that was going to be real crazy, putting lots of stress on teachers over some rule. And also looking at other solutions before we go to extremes like that. We know that any given time during the school year, you can just have silent lunch. Why? Because y'all been acting up. That's a given, but not right off the bat. It's egregious, it's extreme, and I hope that the leadership team there will be mindful in the future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Gear. Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Chair, we have up next is Miss Georgia Bennett.
Ms. Georgia Bennett, you can come forward, please. Hi. You will also have 5 minutes to speak on what you would like to. These same comments that I read to begin with will apply to you also.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Superintendent, and everyone else that's here tonight. My name is Georgia Bennett, and most people don't know me very well as I didn't grow up here and I don't work outside of my home, but I'm just a regular mom and wife who saw a need and is trying to be a positive force in my community. My husband and I have 4 kids in this beautiful county school system. Next year, we'll have 1 in each school. I'm an Auburndale bloodhound at my core, but make no mistake, I'm a Hornet in my heart. Silent lunch has always been and will continue to be a good consequence to use after children show loud, inappropriate, and unbecoming behavior. But consequences shouldn't be used as proactive measures. We live in a country where we are innocent until we are proven guilty, and it's not the normal process to punish people before they offend, nor is it common to make a community as a whole face the consequences for a few. This is concerning that this happened. It's extreme. We do not model this in our society because this is not how we as a society function, and I do not believe that we should model that method. Children should learn how to uphold themselves personally accountable for their own actions. The standard method is to implement appropriate consequences that are equal to the offense only after offending. I do not believe that we can tell our children that they are not in trouble, they're not being punished, and they haven't done anything wrong, while we simultaneously enforce consequences as a normal routine, and then believe still, honestly, that we are creating a positive and healthy environment. So many kids coming home not wanting to go back to school when they were just so excited for that first day is disheartening. It's not hard to understand so many of them not wanting to go back already because they were told they had to earn the right to speak, and if in less than a week going to school, something they were just so excited about, becomes something that's no longer exciting, then we're doing something drastically wrong, and it needs to change immediately. We all know how important socialization is for proper coping mechanisms and the ability to communicate with our peers, but these 6th to 8th graders do not have daily recess, only a once-a-week earned time outside for socialization. If they don't want to go to school and they're not eager to learn, we will start seeing the negative effects quickly, including depression, scores dropping, a lack of involvement, and awkwardness that could have been prevented. When we proactively and effectively lead our children and model societal expectations of proper behavior, we maintain a watchful eye and we intervene when and where necessary to make the proper corrections that maintain rule and implement consequences as needed to the individuals at fault. We realize this is not school board policy, and we strongly urge you to prevent these consequences from being used as proactive measures moving forward. Many parents recommended the use of a traffic light, which can be preset to monitor sound levels, and other parents have also suggested the use of surveys so we can get better feedback from teachers, parents, and students alike to come together more effectively as a community to make better and more informed choices and decisions on procedures and policies that may be enacted in our schools. And I implore us to still come together and work together daily for this. Now, this came from another parent that wasn't able to speak tonight. She said, "We are living in a post-trust era when it comes to government. That being said, we work alongside of you at our jobs. We play sports and have play dates for our kids. We attend church with one another and serve together. We dine, play, and shop together here in this community, and we trust you with our children. If we didn't, we wouldn't send them to these schools. We know some things are out of your hands, but some are not. There are more important things than silent lunch, and I, along with other parents, feel the method of how this policy was implemented not very transparent. We do utilize Facebook, which is great, but we also need to properly utilize calls, texts, and emails. Now, I know I do receive these also. But there are parents that are missing important information regarding sports and events that they didn't know about. And we could have easily prepared our children for this if we knew about it ahead of time. We might not agree with it, but we're all adults and we can commit to things that even if we don't like them. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both for your comments. We'll take these matters under consideration, and we'll direct the superintendent to respond to you within 10 business days, both of these. Thank you. All right. Do we have any other public comment?
No, sir, Mr. Chair, we do not.
All right. Next up we have is the consent agenda, and I need a motion to approve both A and B, the work and regular session.
Yeah, we got it.
I'm sorry? Oh, I apologize. We have a special recognition by Dr. Tim Dixon.
You'll come down
Sir.
front with me. We had, I think it was a couple of months ago, we were able to have one of our local and district employees receive a state award. And of course, at that time, they were recognized. So what we want to do tonight is recognize her in front of her peers and of course in front of you as well. gonna give it a few minutes and wait on the site to get here, and we'll go through that process. But at this time, Dr. Holly, if you would come forward, and, she's an integral part of our district here in Cook County. She is actually is our Director of Human Resources, and does a tremendous job for us. And her peers in her professional organization recognized her, was it been about 2 months ago, for going above the call of duty. I'm gonna read, the plaque as presented. It's the, Dr. Jim Puckett Outstanding Educator Award 2023 to Dr. Courtney Holly in honor of your exceptional leadership qualities as a Georgia educator, Cook County Board of Education, August 14th, 2023. So, Mr. Chair, if you would present it.
Yes. I'll throw it at you. Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you.
See your shirt?
All right, now, sorry about that, we're up to the consent agenda. Now I need a motion for both the work session and regular session of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve both the work and regular session minutes from 7/17/23.
I second it.
Thank you both, appreciate it. And then call for vote. Unanimous. Next up will be the action items. First item is personnel. Need a motion on personnel.
Make a motion, we approve the personnel.
Thank you, Ms. Sharon. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Chad. All right, call for vote. 2, 3, yeah, unanimous? Yeah, Ms. Sharon's hid down there a little bit. I got you though. Okay. Next up, school supplement sheets. Need a motion.
Make a motion, we accept the school supplement sheets as presented.
Thank you. Does anyone care for a second?
Second.
Thank you. Call for vote. Unanimous. All right. Approval for the 23-24 fundraisers. Need a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the fundraisers.
Thank you, Ms. Sharon.
I'll second it.
Ms. Brenda, call for vote. Unanimous again. All right, 23-24, local board member training plan. Need a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the 23-24 local board member training plan as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Call for vote. Unanimous. Out-of-state overnight field trips.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve all of them.
Thank you.
Second it.
And thank you again, Ms. Sharon. Call for vote. Unanimous. Are there any other matters by board members tonight?
You brought some up just then, maybe we can do it later, but the YouTube camera, I'm glad it's right on me, I love that. However, like you said about Miss Sharon not getting in it, it'd be great if it was right there going that way instead of this way, personally.
I think they all three are.
It goes, they're adjusted according to what's going on, I
Who's
think.
talking?
Yeah, because I think all three of them are. We thought you just wanted, you had
No,
that
no.
movie star look.
I think whichever one is green is the one that's on at the time, and if you look, it'll change around.
Right.
So these two are red, that one's green. Well,
Now that one's green.
Yeah.
So,
No, if you look at YouTube videos, you can see that you cannot see me at all,
Really?
unless I say something.
All right, all right. Well, maybe we need to,
I can change places with you if you'd like.
are there any other matters by the board members?
I just
Okay.
wanted to say something if you guys don't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Just, a little something to the silent lunch. to just appease the matter. We know that it was done with good heart, but, oh yes, it needs to be changed, and we will do something about it. So, we're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it done. And we just thank everybody for showing up and just being concerned about it. I made a comment on Facebook, and, Facebook can really, it's a new thing. It's a new thing for everybody, for me, because I'm old. But I made a comment because I really didn't know that silent lunch was done, and we were pointed out that we were the ones that agreed, that we made the policy for it, but that didn't happen. But I just want to let you know also that we're not in the schools, we're not in the board office, we're at home. We're getting calls, and we're definitely concerned. We'll do approved finances, we'll do personnel, but we're not in the school teaching and trying to keep our kids under control. One parent come to the house, and it was the end of the year, and she said that my daughter was expelled, and it was 5 girls, but all 5 girls was expelled. But when you got heavyset girls that are in an uproar, and they get wild and they're saying all kind of languages, the teachers and principals, whoever's trying to break it up, they're getting scarred. There's just so many ways to look at it. But however, we are gonna try, is it Dr. Dixon says, I imagine he's gonna say it. We're gonna, try to get the what is that? The traffic light. We're gonna try to get the traffic light. There's all kind of measures that we're gonna try, and we just want the community to just calm down and just work with us a little. Just work with us a little bit, and we hear you. I wrote down some of the suggestions, and I'll be looking into those. And I just appreciate you all. I appreciate the whole board.
Thank you. All right. Any other matters, Superintendent?
I should never get to it. I'm gonna go right out there
Okay.
and talk just a minute. We've been very fortunate in my 5 years that we've been here. We've got a lot accomplished, and we've got really good people working extremely hard for our children. I appreciate you and what you did and how you handled it. Outstanding job. You never got ugly. You never said, no, this is the way it's gonna be. You never did that. And we met, and let me just give you a little bit of background. We met Tuesday, and then we got back together on Thursday. I think we had like 5 parents that came in on that day, and they met with Dr. Ratz, Julie Folsom, Mr. Acre, Rusty Meadows, the principal. And listen, we wouldn't meet with these folks if we'd already made up our mind, okay? We listened. Now, let me be very clear to every single one of you. And Dr. Gibb, you know this. Board members have nothing to do with the day-to-day operation of the school business. You know who controls those schools? Those building level principals. And they do very little without consulting with me or the department chairs here. Okay? But these folks have nothing to do with that. That's not their job. And Ms. Sharon did a fantastic job. They vote on policy, they approve budget, and they approve personnel. And that's their job. And they do a very fantastic job with that. So if you want to hold anybody accountable for how this went down, I'm the guy. The buck stops with me, not Rusty Meadows, not the APs, but me. And I'm okay. Been doing this a long time. Right? Too long. But you don't know me. You don't know the passion that I have for children. you ain't got a clue. I could have quit this 6 years ago, but I chose to stay in the business for the right reasons. See, I look out across every child in this district that could be mine. You've heard this story. Because they very well could be mine. If you want to know what I mean by that, see me Friday when I share it. But we don't take this lightly. We don't make mistakes on purpose. I told the group, the parent group, I said, you know, we probably could have done a little better job of informing you. But you know what, I did this as a principal in a middle school and a high school with 1,600 kids. I never got any backlash to it. Not as yet. But it didn't have Facebook back then. Now, did some parents not like it? I'm sure they did. But did they call them? No. Because ultimately, the number one priority for any school is what? Safety. And that's all we went after, gang, just safety. It got a little bit wild. The question was asked, why didn't you deal with it then? Well, in the school business, once it gets out of control, it's hard to fix. I know that sounds sort of odd. But you gotta nip it in the bud on day one. Say, gang, this is how we're gonna do business, and this is what we mean, and we expect you to do. The principal, you were in there, he said that he did share that, but he didn't do a very good job of sharing it, and I've already told him that. I'm not saying nothing behind his back. Y'all heard me say it. We didn't get the word out good enough at the end of the day. And that's on me. You know, ultimately, we should have done a better campaign to let everybody know. But gang, I want you gotta trust me. You trusted me for 5 years to do the right thing. And we have, and we'll continue. But I want you to know that I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. These kids are important. And you want to change, you're talking about, you want to make a change in this community, it starts with what we do. Y'all know that. And we don't take it like that. So, I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate you being here. I do. And we're going to make it right. We're going to take a look at, we opened it up today and it didn't go as, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, it didn't go very well. Middle school folks, did I have any middle school folks here today? How did it go today?
It was much different than it was on Friday or last week. There was a lot more trash on the floor, a lot more just inconsistencies with the behaviors that were needed to happen.
So it's not our goal. Listen, I'm a middle school principal. I've been in the middle school business, so I understand middle school. I do. It's a tough age. But it's our responsibility to get them through it, and we will. We're going to take a look at the traffic light. In fact, I'm going to make a phone call tomorrow and see if we can get one and have it installed. And everybody knows what a traffic light means, and that's what we're going to try to help monitor that. But it really got almost unsafe. And they'll tell you at middle school last year, they had a couple of pretty good fights at the end of the year. And they did put the mail in the right box. They did suspend those kids. They did take care of it. But it's just what we thought we needed. And that's all I can say. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's where we stand. But I want you to know we got your children's interest at heart. I promise you. I promise you. We've got good people. Mr. Henry Akers is a good man. He's our student services director. Mr. Farmer, good man. Those are good. Did I call you the wrong name? I told you I'm getting old. We've got Leslie Folsom. I'm just going through. Leslie Folsom, did I call you by the right name? That time you did. He's been a principal in our district for years, passionate about kids. Our principal at the high school, Dr. Joey Folsom, Joey Williams, does a fantastic job at the high school. We've got, of course, y'all know everybody in here, he probably talks to Larry Young, who is our facilities director. you know, right down the line, we've got good folks. We really do. And, they're very passionate about what they're doing in their school. Any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
I know y'all said there was a lot of noise, middle school lunchroom. Is there staff going in the lunchroom with the kids, or are they just dropping them off?
No, ma'am, there are adults in there, and I can't tell you by name or by what they're classified as, but I know that they would never leave the middle school kids in there by themselves. Ms. Shaker, you were there today, tell me, can you answer that?
It'd be an administrator and 3 other people.
So there were 4 adults.
At least.
Yeah.
And school resource officer.
So there's 5 adults in there, which is, under normal set of circumstances, is plenty. Maybe not in this circumstance, we may need to increase that, you know, to get desired results. And that's something that we definitely need to take a look at. Yes, ma'am.
Are you having, are there any staff shortages at the middle?
No, we're actually, as far as I know, we're fully staffed there. You know, we were really lucky this year. You know, in years past, I think we were 1 math teacher shy at the high school got the wins, is that right? And I think that's all throughout the district. Y'all help me here. Elementary, primary, y'all good? You know, we know what the state trend is, so we're very fortunate. Yes, ma'am.
Do we need more substitutes to go on?
Always.
Always.
We always need
Yep.
substitutes. Ms. Francis, who I did not call out, she's our transportation director. We're always needing bus drivers. We're always needing bus monitors. Just 3 critical positions that we always fall short with. And teachers too. Thank the Lord we're good this year. Yes, ma'am.
All I'm saying, nobody, I don't know why the board was, nobody individually, pointing out no individual on the board.
Yes, ma'am.
It's nobody.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't know where it came from. But anyway, what I'm saying, I heard the report that they got a little bit crazy, start leaving stuff around, like they usually do. Those rules that they had, they were still. But I'm saying this, I'm saying this, they break the rules, regular rules, common sense rules. Obey the rules. The only thing that I just would ask, no favoritism. An example of Bobby Joe, break a rule. Bobby Joe, pay the pipe. Billy Bob, break the rule. Billy Bob, pay the pipe. It won't matter. And that's just that. I'm just for the right thing, for the right thing, for the right thing. It doesn't matter who it is.
You're right.
And I know they cannot do their rules, because you won't be able to teach or walk and do that. Now, I know.
That's right.
They're crazy.
Well,
Not crazy.
Understand. We understand.
You know, they just, you know, nobody in this group, we aware of children. You know, they gonna be kids, and you give them 1 inch, they'll take 25. So, we weren't saying, you know, we don't understand, nothing like that, that was just still, real still. But, yes, they by all means, they break the rule.
Good advice. For you that don't know Miss Gibbs, she was actually on the board 5 years ago when I was hired. Been a few years, time flies.
Asking my mama, go out there, she break the rules, but it's my, it doesn't matter.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a suggestion, and I'm not sure, 7 kids that I came to Cook County, 3 of them graduated this previous year. And I know when they're in middle school age, they love incentives. So, with them doing all the noise making and the trash, maybe suggest whoever, like, which class, has the best behavior, or who cleans up behind their stuff,
I do know we have some of that going on. In fact, it was actually brought up in our conversation about the golden spatula or something, where they had something in place last year. I don't know all the details of it. John, what do y'all have going on today?
Well, we were talking with the noise level, have a competition between Greenland. Just didn't work out the details yet, but we're working on it.
Okay, you were gonna say something along that line?
Yes, along the same lines, and they work hard for incentives, and those are some things we definitely have in place, and then we're working on improving.
Yeah. So, great suggestions. Things that we can definitely do. Well, listen, thank y'all. We appreciate it very much. We're gonna get it right. That's our goal. Yes, ma'am.
Is email a possibility for communication?
Yes, ma'am. I actually sent out an email today to all the principals, just so that everybody will know this is, not that we haven't been doing a good job, but we can always do a better job, but we're to use every form of communication we have, whether it be email, text, Facebook, website, every piece of, or every opportunity that we have to communicate, they are to start doing effective immediately. And I've also asked each principal that at least once a month, that they either bring together their PTO, their PTA, their school council, or any other parent organization, so that we are meeting and pushing out information, not when you just, something comes up, but on a monthly routine. Principal, did you read it? Did you see it? I hope you did. That's what we're going to do. And that's important. That's important. Not that they haven't been, it's just a sort of making the emphasis.
The reason why I ask is just because Facebook doesn't, with the algorithms they have, it doesn't always show up on everybody's feed.
Yes, ma'am.
It's spotty, so stuff just goes through the cracks.
We used to have, what did we push out? What was the little app that we could use? Remind. Remind app. And that may be something that each school wants to do where it sends out. Yeah, that, but yes, yes. Yeah, mail. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of giving kids information to get home.
No, the teachers have to remind for the parents.
Yes, I agree with that, yes.
And if their information is correct in Power School, whenever you update your information at the beginning of every year, that's how we can send out text messages.
So to do that.
But if that information is not correct, so make sure you update that every year.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to, first off, thank you for doing that, because not everybody has Facebook, including myself. And then secondly, I just remember when my children were in my grammar school, here, that they used to have like essentially a newsletter that went out once a month or so, hey, this is one of the unit, this is what's going on in the entire school system, those types of things.
That was at elementary school.
Something about a newsletter.
And I don't know if they're doing anything like that or not, but it can definitely be a suggestion for sure. I know we send out a monthly newsletter from here to the schools and to our district people. Tammy, we don't really send it to the community, right?
We post it.
It's posted on the website,
So
yes.
I reckon you do have access to it.
We push that out elementary school weekly, every Sunday night, that's pushed out through the parent alert system, so we say every parent on our social media and the website, so weekly do it.
All right, well, this has been good. I'm very appreciative. Again, let me remind you, as far as the actual day in and day out operations of the school, the principals are responsible. If you have an issue, don't bother these people. Not that they won't talk with you, but call your principal. Call your child's principal first. And if you don't get desired results, Mr. Avery will be the next man up. And if he doesn't solve your problem, then you'll get to me. I guarantee you, we'll solve it. Now, you may not like the answer, but we'll come to a resolution. We're gonna play by the rules. We're gonna do what policy says. Okay? We don't play favorites. We're gonna do what we've got written. And been doing that since been in the business. That's the only way to go, so.
Do, middle school and high school have like orientation, like at the beginning of the year or whatever, at the beginning of the school?
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, that should do. Y'all,
We had sixth grade orientation on Tuesday night, and then of course we had seventh grade and eighth grade that they came in on the Wednesday night with everybody else. And there was an orientation video that was pushed out, just welcoming the sixth graders to the school and how letting them know about what sports they can try out and their requirements there and about eligibility for sports.
So what are the rules, like what's going on now?
We've been released.
That was discussed in orientation.
yeah, I'm just going a little bit, go ahead.
We met with each grade level, and there were certain expectations we had. We didn't go over the whole handbook, but we hit the high point.
I believe, and Allison, you helped me with this, but I think every parent has to sign off on the handbook information, correct? And in other words,
Like seeing the policeman.
so did you hear that? There are paper forms at the schools if you need a paper copy. But the child can't, in other words, within what we give them a week or two. In other words, that handbook, the policies that we follow, you parents have to sign it. In fact, I don't know what the repercussions are for a child here when it's not signed. I'm sure they do multiple call outs to the parents to get it signed. I don't know, that's not what I do.
It's like they'll reward them with for.
If they get it in. And I'm assuming, I mean, we check them and make sure they're all in. I know I used to as a person. Again, that's in the weeds, I don't do that every day. But that's the expectation, because, you know, the kid that's gonna get in trouble and his mama had signed it, it's gonna be that kid. So that's why it's important that everybody, every parent signs off on it. Vital, very vital. Hey, gang, thank y'all, appreciate you. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, got a little long-winded.
That's all right.
Felt like it was a good conversation.
Yes, sir, absolutely. All right, if there's nothing else, and we're gonna be adjourned.
Thank you.